gonna go through the shoulder circle now. And I like to do these seated, but you can do them any number. You can do them kneeling, half kneeling, you can do them standing. I like to do them seated so that I can just focus, right? So I'm gonna elevate myself with 2 blocks. You can use one, you can use a pillow, whatever you got. You can sit on a chair and do these. And I'm gonna turn myself kind of at an angle so you guys can see. Here's the important thing. The important thing is that I wanna take my rib cage and lock it into place and keep it there. I want all of the movement to come from the shoulder, which means it's gonna be limited in some places, and that's fine. You move in the space that you have to move, and maybe tomorrow you'll have a little bit more. So I'm gonna sit nice and tall. Whatever position is comfortable for your legs. If you want to do it like this, you totally could. I like this sort of crisscross applesauce thing. And I'm gonna keep my other hand on my rib cage, just to be sure it's not twisting, leaning, doing anything like that. I'm gonna lead with my thumb going straight up toward the ceiling. This is pretty easy. I'm gonna get to a certain point where I start to feel some resistance. So right about here, just before I get overhead, I start to feel some resistance. So if I were really gonna push into overhead, I'd probably start to let my rib cage pop forward. So I'm not gonna do that. I'm gonna keep my ribs in place. I'm gonna go as far as I can go, and when I can't go any farther, I'm gonna go ahead and move out to the side a little bit and start to turn my arm out. All right, so I'm turning my palm out to the side. I'm pulling back the muscles in the back of the shoulder to try to get as much movement as I can as I come down and around. As I come down to the floor, I'm gonna reverse right away. So I'm gonna keep that palm open as I go up. You feel a nice stretch through the chest probably as you do this, maybe through parts of your arm. And here, I'm gonna really fight, because my arm wants to drift this way because it sure does feel better and easier. And I wanna keep it in the back part of the range in this back quadrant as much as I can. And then I'm gonna let my palm toward me as I come overhead and down. So this is a nice slow movement. Better to do 3 of these really slow than try to bang out a bunch of fast ones. So here we go. Taking it up again for number 2. All right. Really paying attention. You may meet your resistance sooner or later, right? So wherever you meet that resistance, that's where you start to move out. Give yourself a little bit more openness to the side as you turn the palm out. Keep fighting these muscles in the back of the shoulder to keep that arm back as much as you can. Keep breathing. And reverse, taking it back up. You're basically just reversing the same pattern. Bringing it up, feeling that stretch through the chest, the armpit, as you come around. Again, we're gonna do one more on this side. Keeping the ribs tight. Hitting that resistance point. Adapting slightly by opening the arm out. Continuing to really reach back. Get the most range you possibly can out of this. The biggest circle you can possibly make without pain, right? You wanna stay out of the range of pain. Keep it back as much as you can, and then bring it up overhead and bring it down. So we'll switch to the other side. Here we go. We're going up. All right. On this side, I feel the resistance sooner. It's just different. All right. I try to avoid using the term bad side because all of our sides are wonderful. And we love them all. So if you want to say, right, you can just use factual words. This arm doesn't have as much range of motion as my other arm. Or I had a teacher who used to say you could call it your student side. This side's still learning. All right, number 2, taking it up. Feeling that resistance. Pushing through it unless you get into a range of pain, in which case you're going to back off a little bit. With those ribs, really reaching it back and out in that back corner. If you do these right, they feel like a lot of work. And last time. Nice and slow. Fighting for every little bit of range that you can get.